I think I'm on. Hi. Hi there. Uh, I am just, I need to get this light fixed up and then we will get organized. So, this is Friday, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and um, I wanted to go over a few things today uh, about felting. Don't know if anybody knows anything about felting, but I'm just waiting for my room to get uh, occupied. And while we're doing that, I'm going to try to fix this little lighty do over here. So hang on. There's a light. And I'm looking for me. Craffalanche. Craffalanche. Easy to do around here. And let's see if I can find me. See if I can find me. See if anybody's in here yet. I bet there is. There I am. Let's see. There I am. And yep, you all beat me into the room. You win. You're first. I've got a few things I wanted to show you today. I do. Hi. And I guess that's the first one I touch. That's to be the first one I do. I have all kinds of hobbies that I do, and one of them is called felting. And I've got about 3 or 4 baskets in here that I just don't have room to. I can't show them all to you at the same time. Excuse me. I just can't show them all to you at the same time without having a major craffalanche. I've got my garbage can helping me out. But felting is done with what we call roving wool. And I don't know if you know what roving wool is. Raw wool. This is wool from a sheep that has been processed. These were my ACT cards I did last night. I'm going to move them over here to the side for a minute. They turned out really cute. If y'all haven't done it already, Brittany's going to get one. Zoe's going to get one. Hi, Terry. Hi, Cheryl. I think I've already got your all's address. I've got it addressed out already. So those will go in those. So, but felting is a cute, fun little hobby to do. And you can make all sorts of little cute things. And I can't tell if this is too dark or not. Let's see. No, it looks pretty good. You all can see that. I just like all kinds of fibers, and you can make little things with your fibers, but most of it is done with a wool in this condition, and this is called roving wool, and it's all combed in one direction, but it's not spun into yarn yet. So it's the step before yarn, okay, if that makes it easier to understand. And it comes in the natural form, of course, But it also comes in all sorts of colors. Yes, I have a little small fortune in this little tub. It comes in all sorts of colors, and it comes in from different animals, different kind of sheep produces a different grade of wool, and some of the wools are they're different, and you can also get flax seed roving material, which is made from the plant, the flax seed. But anyway, um, I don't want to put this too far away because I want it. I'll put it over here. But when you get into making things, you can really go out and be very creative. There's lots of websites also, and I can give you a hint of, or I can give you a name of someone that you can go and look at if you really like it. And this is like the beginning stage of this. This is what it looks like before you add color to it. You put a base down and you use the inexpensive batting type of wool, which is a stuffing style wool, and you use the batting first for the inside, and then you use the expensive, pretty wool on the outside. And it's a way of being frugal with your wool. And this is done with chenille wiring. The chenille wire is the front legs is one wire tied onto the base, and then the back legs are another wire tied wrapped around the base, and the base goes from the nose all the way down to the tail. So this is like the beginning of the horses. And I've done quite a few, but unfortunately, I lose custody of them. And this was my first attempt on a cow, and I put a little bit of pink in his ears. I need to make him one of those cowlet tufts right there. And then I made him an udder. Here's his udder. Anyway, um, you could be as creative as you want when you make these things, but I'm going to show you how to actually make something, and I'm going to demonstrate in a cookie cutter, and I'll use this bird since it was the first one I touched. But I wanted to show you a few ways that you can felt. Now here's another version of felting, and I did this a scenery on an old antique wool blanket that I think was an army blanket at one time, or an old car blanket that my grandfather had. I had a great uncle that was in the army, and I also had a grandfather born in 1901. So either one of the men could have had a wool blanket like this in their vehicles, or I can't imagine the army having one with collar. The army would have been all gray. So I really don't think it was an army blanket, but I do believe it was maybe a car, something that you'd put in the trunk of your car back in the day. And it was all moth ridden and tattered on the ends like this. This was naturally worn. And so I decided, instead of throwing the blanket away, I would repurpose it, and I cut it up into 12 by 12s, and I started doing some of these sceneries. And this is all done with wool and a sharp needle. And I'll show you the needles too. But I just wanted to show you a few things that I've already made. And here is a little lamb. Here's Mary's little lamb. Now this is done with raw wool, and they're called locks. And they're locks of curls from the natural sheep, and they're might be rinsed, but not exactly uh, bleached. They're not bleached or anything. And and these are called locks, and you can buy them uncombed and natural curls from the actual sheep, and you can see that there's little pieces of darker area there, and it's been washed and rinsed, but it hasn't been bleached or anything, and it's not sterile by any means, I don't think, because it's got uh, grass products, and they call that food. What do they call that? Food products. There's a name for it. Food material, I think, because grass is what they eat. It's a nice way of saying it's just, dirty hay from the stall. But anyway, it is fresh from the lamb, and it's in its natural state with the locks. And you buy it, it's a little bit extra, and you buy it this way, and then you can make your sheep look realistic. That's how I did that. And here is my palomino, and some of these aren't finished. Some of these I've been working on, and I haven't finished them yet. But here's my palomino horse that I've been working on. And I haven't been working on this for about probably a year. And then I started getting creative, and I decided to try a little girl. And this is all done with roving wool. Hi, everybody coming in. Terry, Cheryl, Gilly, Terry. Gilly, did you just get up? Because you went to bed about 4 o'clock this morning. Hi. I didn't. Well, I got up at 10, but I went back to sleep till 11:30. I fell back to sleep. But this is a little girl that I made, and it's all done out of the roving wool. And let's see what else I've got. Oh, I tried to do one of these bulls, these longhorn bulls, and I wouldn't say he was a fail, but he doesn't look real. He's not realistic yet. Yeah, I'll say yet. He's in progress. But do I have any knitters in the group? Do I have any knitters in the group? Anybody do any knitting or wooling? Hi, Holly. Do you all has anybody ever do you crochet? Okay. Has anybody ever been to a mill factory that processes wool, a fiber mill? We have I don't know how I got into this. Uh, I guess I picked it up off of the internet. There's a couple of YouTube. Uh, okay, Tracy, you know a little bit. Okay. Well, you know, uh, you go to these craft fairs and you see all these people with their different crafts and arts. And somehow I've gotten into the wool end of it, and it was probably through spinning. I don't have a spinning wheel, but I did borrow one, and I tried my hand at it. And And I say that and laugh because it was funny, but I did try it. Um, but this is the yarn that I spend when I did my spinning. I think I did 2 balls of it. And this is called Art Yarn, Festive Art Yarn. And I made it with different fibers that I had in my stash. And my worst nightmare happened. I had a crack-a-lynch. But that's all right. I wanted to show you some more stuff, but I guess I'll wait. I'll wait and do it at the end now. I got another basket of stuff I want to show you. But I just got too much in my room. But anyway, I'll explain this to you here next and move away some of my toys. And find my needle. Move away some of my toys. But this was fun to do because every single little color on here was done by hand. The clouds, the different shades, the orange, the yellows, everything was done by hand with a needle. And I'm going to try to demonstrate it. And this is a little pumpkin. Oh, I've lost it, I lost it, I lost it. Where did it go? As soon as I find my knitting needle, I'll have everything. It was just here a second ago. I've overlooked it. Well, okay. Well, I'll have to move on because I don't know what I did with it. It's probably stuck. I don't know what I did with it. But anyway, whenever I make an ornament or something, uh, something like this, or the seahorse, remember the seahorse? I think I showed that to you. When I make an ornament or something like this, I usually use something like a cookie cutter for the edges. And I use a piece of foam. And I just covered it with some fabric. And I'm not going to worry about that right this second. But you have to have something to poke your needle in when you felt. And you have to use a special needle. And this special needle is very, very sharp on the end. And I don't know if I can show it to you, but there are little sharp edges every centimeter or so on the end of the needle that are also sharp and jagged. This is called a barbed needle, and it's not round, it's kind of a square shape or triangle shape because you can see some flat sides. Try to get one more good picture of it. And this is called a barbed needle, like barbed wire. And there are some flat sides and corners like a triangle or a needle, and there's little sharp notches in it called barbs. And this is the needle. And this needle does have a little case that you can put it in, but I just don't have it in my fingertips right now, and it's not important. I can still demonstrate. But you have to have a piece of foam rubber, or a rice bag or a bean bag or some kind of a special surface. So when you poke the the wool, you're poking into the foam rubber and not straight onto the table where you can break your needle. Okay, Cheryl. So anyway, I'm going to demonstrate. Hi, Violet. Okay, I'm teaching a felting technique, wool felting. And I was giving you all a little intro. And I think I'm going to make a bird as our first little demo. And these needles also come in different sizes, from small to a little bit larger. And when you get into felting on your own, you will discover that you need a big one to do you need a little one to do like an eye, and you'll need a bigger one to do a tail or something like that. And some of the girls that do felting videos, who are much more of an expert than I am just amateur. I'm gonna adjust this just a little bit here. And they can explain it maybe a little bit more professional, but this is how I do it, and this is how I've learned. And I've learned off of videos off of YouTube and the internet, and different articles on felting. And it probably started out with yarn, wool, and spinning in the very beginning. You know how you go to these art fairs and you watch people spin yarn, real yarn. And I did have a friend that has a spinning wheel. So I tried my hand at spinning yarn, and I found a channel that did this art yarn, and it really struck me fancy. Struck my fancy, and I said, "Ooh, I want some of the art yarn. I don't want the real yarn. I can buy real yarn, but I can't buy this kind of yarn." So I had a spinning wheel, and I made all this yarn up with a lot of it is done with the roving wool, which I showed you earlier. The wool made out of, I guess we'll make a yellow and orange bird. What kind of color bird do you want to make? Or yellow and blue? But this is and it's also got some textile wool, or fibers in it. I'll say textile fibers, because I had some spindles of some textile yarn wool fibers that I had gotten at a yard sale. Somebody worked at a textile place at one time, and I found these textile wools, and I can recognize which ones they are, but there's several of those also mixed in with the roving wool. So but these are all fibers, I would say just natural fibers from animal and such. And this is what you call carnival yarn or party yarn, art yarn. And I haven't got to use it in anything really. I made it and put it away, and I forgot about it. So I'm going to have to think of something to do with this. This will be cute on ACT cards. Woohoo! So, and you can see how it twists up. That's because it was spun on a spinning wheel, and I spun it tight. And I'm not, like I said, I'm very amateur. I'm an amateur, and but I'm crafty. I'm crafty. So I was going to just demonstrate how we can make something out of some wool from a sheep. Hi, Journey. Hello to everyone else I haven't said hello to. I've been talking nonstop. But but you start off with a cookie cutter of your choice. I wonder if I have um I have a bag of, oh, I do have it. Ah, ha 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 ha. Here's the seahorse. I want to make a seahorse for Lisa's mermaid book. So we'll do that one next. But I'm going to do the bird first. And I use just regular cookie cutters. And I find cookie cutters at yard sales. And I don't look for them anymore because I have so many cookie cutters. And as you can see, this was similar to this one. I don't think it was the same one. I've got another one that's a little bit different. But you can you can use all kinds of cookie cutters, old ones and new ones. This is a very old one. So, and plastic, it doesn't matter. This is a new modern one. This is a plastic one. Uh, and you cookie cutters are everywhere. So anyway, I'm going to start with this bird, and I have a something foam rubbery, and I have the special needles. Hello, everybody. So I start out with you can take the yarn. It's all been processed in the same direction. This has been combed and it's ready for to be used. And this is also how it's used when you spin yarn, because it's all in one direction. Now, if it hasn't been combed, it would be matty together, and I might be able to show you something that's been matted. Uh, but when you have matted wool, that's where you card and you use the two combs to comb it in one direction, or you have one of the nice machines that's done electrically. And Lisa has one of those big machines, and she has just did a video on carding some wool fibers ready to go, and it's done. And then when you comb it into a block, it's called a bat. And it's just a little bit of terminology, no big deal. But Lisa can show you that part, and Lisa can probably show you how to spin. And I also have a needle, a knitting needle. Oh, found it. This is a wooden knitting needle. It's a size 14. I got it at the secondhand store. And I took and I notched in this groove, and it's continuous groove that spins all the way down just to about 2 inches. And there's a video on how to do this, and you can spin yarn on this knitting needle and spin you some homemade yarn. And I would probably need to watch the video again and get tuned up in on it, but I wanted to show Lisa, and she might pop in here. I told her I was coming on, and I wanted to show it to her that this is what and it's like a traveler's spindle, drop spindle, and you would take the yarn and you put it in between your fingers like this, and you would start twisting it on here, and you would spin this with your hand and drop it, and it would spin, and then you bring it down and twist it on, and that would be the new yarn. And then you would bring the string back up to the top and twist it again, and then you can spin the knitting needle and drop it, and then bring it back up and twist the yarn onto the bottom of the knitting needle. And it's called a drop spindle. And it's a technique of spinning yarn on an object that you've made, and there are other needles and spindles that you can find that are different shape, but this particular one's done with a wooden knitting needle. and I learned it all online. So when Lisa comes in, I'll show this to her again, so you all will see it again. So anyway, uh, back to our little felting bird. All of the yarn wool is in one direction, and all you have to do is use your thumb and your finger and hold it tight, and then just give it a little pull, and it all comes apart. See, it's all in one direction in different lengths, and it's continuous. So you get a little pull, tuck pull, all like this to start off with, and you lay it inside your cookie cutter. And you learn as you do this 2 or 3 times, you will learn not, you can wad it up and stick it in there if you wanted to, or you can lay it straight, and you'll have techniques. Like this was laid down straight, and it looks kind of soft and in one direction. Now this is done with a little bit different wool, and it was wadded up and put down, and it's got a different texture to it. And this is a different wool than this, and they got hundreds of different names, and um, they're all different. The collars have different names, different companies, and there's tons and tons of things to call all of these techniques. So anyway, I'm sorry. I get these calls, and they're just garbage calls. So anyway, I'm going to put this yarn in this wool into this cookie cutter, and I've got a nice layer in there. And now you take your barb needle, and you always want to hold it at the very end, and you always want to keep your other hands on the outside of the cookie cutter, not over top of it, for a reason. And I probably will poke myself, and you just have to learn to move on when you do, because it hurts when you poke yourself. But you're going to push down and pull back, push down and pull back, and every time you push down, those little barbs are grabbing the wool, and they're pushing it down, going down with it. It's snagging the wool, going down, and then when you come back up, it's snagging it coming back up too, because the barbs go both directions. So this is what they call felting. And you do this over and over and over, and you just move around all over inside the cookie cutter, and you start out real slow, and then when you get used to it, you're going like this. But I always watch where my fingers are. This is not a project that you would do in front of the TV. Can you guess why? I'm going to give you a quiz. Can you guess why you don't do this while you're watching TV? It's because you want to always watch your fingers. You want to know where your fingers are and the needle at all times. If you're looking up at the TV, you're not watching where you're poking, and you're going to end up poking yourself. And that's just not fun. Just saying. Been there, done that. And see, I should not be watching chat and doing this either. It's the same reason. But anyway, as you can see, I've kind of done it one layer. I'm not finished, but I want to show you. This is what you do when you get to a certain point. You lift your cookie cutter off, and then it's kind of snagged into your foam, so you have to pull it up, because you can see the snags going down into the foam. And then you want to take it and you want to put it back in your cookie cutter, and you're going to do it again. Nope, no wet. It's all dry. Yeah, I think I had a little circle on my screen, so it must have buffered a little bit, Teresa. So anyway, this is how I do it, and I just keep going around the crevices of the like in the beak. I go that direction, and then sometimes you want to go up and down, and sometimes you want to go the other direction. You can go either direction, you know, tilt it. You can tilt your needles, what I'm saying. And you're just barely tapping it. You're not pushing it all the way down. You're really not you can push it down, but it's not necessary because you'll end up breaking your needle is what you'll do. When you're too rough with your needle and you go down and up, you're going to end up breaking your needle. They will break. They can snap in your fingers. I'm telling you, it's kind of addictive, Teresa. And I can show you or tell you where you can get all your supplies and things. Um, but let me finish this first, and then we'll talk about supplies and different things that you'd want to start out with. So anyway, I'm doing this again all over, and it has these little stages where it's starting to felt, it's starting to take shape, and I do this for just a little bit longer, and then I stop again. I stop and remove the bird, and I'm going to try to remove it from the foam rubber again, and it's felted down again. Now you see, when I say felted down, it's like this is felted down permanently, and I didn't pull anything back up. When I made something, I felted it down permanently, and then this is, some of it comes back through the other side. Well, that's what's happening on the other side of this piece of fabric. This stuff is starting to happen, and that's why you got to pull it off a little bit every time. Okay, Teresa, you will find more wool. You will find more wool. That's where I find some of my wool. But now all of this wool, I saved my allowance for it, and I have even found wool like this at the thrift store, and it's like a 1 or 2 ply yarn, and what I do is I undo it. I sit and undo it and make it into a roving wool stage again because this is like a 1 ply or 2 ply wool. It's real fluffy, and whoever donated it was using it for something. But I take and I pull it apart like this until I get a batch, and then I keep combing it. But I do it with my hands. I hand comb it. It's called hand combing until I get it nice and fluffy and it looks kind of like this. And it's perfect for my horses. So you'll find all kinds of things. You'll find, but now I've never found this at the secondhand store, anything like this. But anyway, I'm going to put this back into the bird, and as you can see, the feathers aren't quite there yet, and the beak isn't quite shaped yet, right? And then another thing that you can do is you can flip it over and do it from the other side, the back side, and felt it back the other way. Because this is going to be like a little ornament, and you're going to be able to see it from both sides. So it's okay to felt it from both sides. And and if you're like me, you'll probably want collar on your bird, and you want other things. So you might have to go to the wool wheel. This is the wool collar wheel, and find you some other colors to add to your bird. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe orange for the beak. And I was going to do blue, but I think I want to do this blue now that I've changed my mind. A little blue on his wings, maybe, just for fun. There's, you can, when you do this, you do whatever you want to do. No big deal. So anyway, I can take this and pull it off at the end to get just a little piece of wool there. And this is not just one continuous string. You can, it's different threads or different fibers at different lengths, and you can pull this in and pull this in and then put them together to make a thicker piece and more the same length. And this is called hand combing, finger combing, carding. It's called carding when you comb wool. It's a technical term. And I learned this on YouTube's. But I'm just going to put a little bit here for his wings. Give his wings a little bit of color. And I have to tell y'all, I am expecting the doorbell to ring. And if I do, I have to go get it. Just to let you know. I have to doggy sit tonight. My friends are going out of town, and I told them I would babysit their two babies, fur babies. So there's a little wing, and I'll get a little tiny piece of orange for the beak. So I'm just going to pull off just a minute little bit, and I'm just going to keep folding it till it gets to be about the size of a beak. And it's just a little wad right now. See, it's just a little wad, and I'm going to poke it in the beak area, and then I'm just going to start poking it down, and I can use my needle to shape the beak a little bit. And I hope you all can sort of see what I'm doing with me explaining. I can raise it up, but now you can see how I've done the beak and the wing by just felting a little bit, and it's starting to take shape. Yeah, I'm going to have a bed full of dogs tonight. I'm going to have a room full of hound dogs. No, my company is going to be Nathan and Maya, and they are Chihuahuas. And Nathan is the newest, and he is very friendly and cordial. And him and Abby play together. They will play. And Maya will sit on her princess pillow the whole time because she thinks she's the princess. Yeah, poking is what is connecting the fibers back and forth. Poking is what, and the barbed needle is poking it, making the fibers knit back and forth, creating it a felt. And I wanted to tell you one more thing before I forget. I know it's in here. No, that's not the right one. Got one more. Here it is. No. I was going to tell you a little bit of history about felting. Found found it. Maybe there's another one in there. Okay, here it is. Felting. This is your history lesson. Felting is a 1600 BC, before Christ, textile craft that our ancestors did to make all kinds of clothing, and it is usually made from any kind of animal hair. So it wasn't necessarily the sheep or the wool. It could have been horse, it could have been dog, it could have been a wildlife animal. They could felt anything together. They learned how to do it. Back in those days, nothing is wasted, and it can be done by a wet method or a barbed needle method. Okay, I have done the wet felting too. Somebody asked me that a minute ago, and yes, you can do wet method. And I've got table runners that I've done wet felting with. So I guess I I didn't answer that question right earlier because I'm not wetting it right now. But yes, you can do wet felting, and I would love to show you that one day too. That'll be another day. But yes, I can show you the wet felting, and it's fun. It's fun and it's messy. But anyway, it can be done with the wet method or by using a barbed needle, and of course, we need the wool. It's an inexpensive but time-consuming craft. Each ornament takes about an hour to make, so please be proud to know that each felted item was punched many, many times over and over to make perfection with much love and sore fingers. So it is my hope that you enjoy this old-fashioned world of needle felting by hand. This was when I was doing them. I was making things, and they were selling them in the bazaar at church. I wanted people to know that the ornament that they were looking at, took a long time to make and was made by hand, and there was no way that I can sell them for 50 cents a piece. There was just no way. And because it takes an hour to do one item, well, there's no way that somebody's going to pay $5, pay me $5 an hour to do this and pay $5 for a little ornament. So it's not worth my money, my time to do this for selling. So I don't sell. I'm not a seller. I just rather make things that somebody else sell. But I thought the felting history was very interesting. And back in the day, they didn't have needles. They used thorns, and they would carve their needles out of wood, certain types of hard wood, to make a needle, a barbed needle, because wood would have a natural snag to it, right? So there is another form called wet felting, and I'm sorry I wasn't focusing earlier. And it's done without the needle, and I use bubble wrap. I get a piece of you can buy the long pieces of bubble wrap. Yep, I'm felting today, Elsie. I haven't seen you in a week. Where have you been? Somebody else was asking about you, Elsie. Have you been okay? Have you been well? So anyway, it is a fun craft. It's a lost art. All work. Okay. Okay. Well, we just want you to know we were thinking about you. Um, I don't think that this is a very popular um, art anymore, but there are a few videos on YouTube. There's a lot of girls that do this, and they are very, very good at it, and they make big things. And so I started out uh, doing little things like the cookie cutters, and I enjoyed it. So I'm still at that stage. I'm still really with the cookie cutter stage, and I've already told you that I do pottery, and I use my cookie cutters in my pottery too. So I already had the cookie cutters, so why not? Yeah, I'm getting my money's worth out of them. So anyway, I've poked this down a little bit, and you can see around the edges is a lot fluffier than the inside. So you've got to do your edges too, and that's something that you do at the end, towards the end. You go around your edges and do your edges real good, because if you don't, it'll get fuzzy and fall apart. And of course, there might be a technique that you want it to be fuzzy, of course. But I like to do the edges and felt the edges in and get my points real good and pointy for the beak. And then I'm going to flip this over and put the wing on the other side. And you will be able to see if you do it real hard, like I was talking about. If you do this real hard, you're going to get these fibers on the other side of the bird. And sometimes it looks good and sometimes it doesn't. So you have to decide on what you want to do. In this particular case, I'm going to put a blue piece on the other side anyway. So it doesn't matter if the blue shows on the other side, but you might be doing something where you don't want it to show on the other side, so you would be more delicate. And if you hold your needle softly and do soft pokes, it might take a little longer, but you'll have better results and you won't break your needle. So this is a very calming, satisfying art. It's very satisfying to poke. That crunchy feeling that you feel crunching into the foam rubber is satisfying. And it's a nice calming therapy, really. It's good therapy. So I poked this a while, and I'm going to try to do little tiny pinches to get it off of the foam rubber, because if you pull it off too hard, you'll break your bird. So you do it little by little. And you can see that this side's making shape. You're starting to see a little ruffle here, which is the little ruffle on the cookie cutter. I'm starting to take shape. And I've got my beak going, so it's starting. Now here's the other side, and you can barely see a little bit of blue coming through from where I poked it real hard to show you that it can come through. And in this particular case, it won't matter because I'm going to put another little piece of blue there for the wing. And you can barely see the orange, and it needs another piece of orange on this side. And then we're going to do, at the end, we'll do a black eye. Oh my gosh. My soothing voice, or my West Virginia accent. Thank you, Becky. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, Becky, back to work. We're felting today. I come on early, and I figured I'll stay on until for a little while till Mary will come on here after a while, but I don't know what time she comes on. I don't know if it's 7 or 8. It might be 8 on the East Coast. Yes, it does. It's very soothing to do the needlework. So I've got it back up, and I'm going to flip my bird over and do the wing on the other side. Put my bird back in the cookie cutter so I can work on some of the detailing again. And if you have a dog, you will find a black hair, but it could have been a fiber from another piece of yarn. So I go all the way around the perimeter. Watch where your fingers are at all times. I'm going at different angles. Poke around a little bit. Get a little bit more blue. I'm just going to pull a little tip off here for the wing. Layer down. I put the round part towards the shoulder and the straight parts towards the tail, and feather it out a little bit. You get real crafty with your yarn. You figure things out real fast. Now, of course I'm doing a flat object. There are other YouTube sites, and Sofina, I don't have. I'll have to look it up and tell you what her Facebook channel is. Yes, my pillow is a piece of foam rubber, like a piece of upholstery foam rubber. You can use, and I just covered it with a piece of scrap fabric that I have. And other girls use burlap with rice inside. But the idea is to get your work up off the table or off of your lap, so that when you push the needle down, you're not hitting the table to break your needle or hitting your leg or your body. So this is to protect more for your needle, so you have a little pillow to work with. And I just made mine homemade. You can also buy them. When you look, I said I was going to talk about supplies, and I can go ahead and do that now. I started out, I think, at Hobby Lobby. Has a very small section back where the threads are, where the embroidery thread is, where the yarn is. And they have a very, very, very small section of felting items. And I'm talking about a 3x5 section, and that's it. Not a whole lot there. But they will have these needles, and there is another needle. It's in the other room. I'll have to go get it when the doorbell rings. I'll run in and get it. There's a little holder for these needles that these needles go in, and they have 3 needles at a time in the one holder, or there'll be a holder that holds 5 of them at a time. These are for advanced people who felt a lot, for advanced. I'm teaching you this way just to show you that you don't need all the expensive tools to do this with. You just need a needle and you need some wool. And Walmart doesn't, but Hobby Lobby carries some of the wool, and I'm looking around to see if I see any of it. And it's in a little package. And it's like $1. I'm thinking $1.50 for the package. And I don't remember how many ounces it is. It might be just 2 ounces or 4 ounces of this roving wool. And it's more of this texture than this pretty silky texture. So I paid, I can't quote prices because it's been so long since I purchased them, but I can tell you where I purchased this from. There's lots of places online that you can get wool. You can order it, and it's a it's a big market for it, and it's expensive. So I shopped around till I found a place that I was satisfied with their prices, and I buy all my stuff. I buy all my stuff from this one company, and it's Mohair and More out of Texas. But the wool yarn, if you get a wool yarn, you can use wool yarn. If you can find wool yarn, all of Hobby Lobby's yarn, Joann's yarns, you can't hardly find pure wool. Everything's blended. And hi, Mitzi. Hi to anybody, Marianne. Marianne, I need for you to message me your address, if you would please, somewhere in Facebook, if you can. But anyway, the wool yarn can be broken back down because it's already twisted into a yarn, right? So in order to do felting with the wool yarn, you've got to break it down. So you've got to untwirl the yarn like this, and then you have to pull it. I usually pull it by hand and do a finger carding with my wool yarns. And and when I do this several times, I will get some wool. I will be getting fluffier wool as I finger card this. And and I will take wool yarn from the secondhand store like this, and then I can use it in whatever I think this color would look good in, like an owl or a horse or an animal or a realistic bird. And but this is real pretty, okay? So I did splurge and bought me some real pretty wool to make some pretty things out of. And um I can tell the difference between the different kinds of wool. This was this was not wool. This was a man-made material, like a plastic yarn, and it was a cord. It was a yellow cord for, I don't know, a wind chime or something. And I pulled it apart, and it was real fuzzy, but it's plastic, and it's a man-made material. But I added it with real wool, and I was able to felt with it. So sometimes if you have like an 80-20 blend, if you have an 80% wool and 20% synthetic, you can still felt with it. Synthetic will not felt because it's man-made, and the fibers are too thick, slick. They don't connect with each other. You poke in and nothing grabs the bars on the needle, and nothing will felt with a synthetic yarn. So that's why you have to have fibers versus synthetic materials. Now there's a flax. Uh, Flax is made from a plant, from a weed, a fiber. And you have heard of flax linen. And back in the day, in the colonial days, they grew flax, and they figured out, I don't know if the colonial people learned it or if the Indians learned it, that you can break the fibers down on the grain of flax. It's like wheat, it's like a grass, and you can break the fibers down and you soak them and use a process, and you can make a thread from the flax and you can sew with it and you can weave with it, and that's where the flax linen history came from. Right. Synthetic yarn is man-made, and it's acrylic. and it's like paint or plastic, and it's slick, it's smooth. It doesn't have fibers that go both directions like an animal fur or a natural fiber. Very good, Violet. Violet is at the head of the class. And all of this information is stuff that I picked up from learning about it, and that's how come I'm able to share it with you. I've read it, I've watched videos, I went to the fiber mill. I enjoyed it. I had a ball doing it. And it's taken me probably 3 or 4 years of doing it. I'm trying to remember if I did this up home in Kentucky, and I don't remember having all of this up there. I think I started it all down here in the past 5 years. Where's the cookies? Okay, you get first choice of cookies and milk after class. But anyway, there's a lot to learn about fibers, and 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 of course, being frugal as I am, trying to find things at the secondhand store for 50 cents. Bonus. Bonus. You know, okay. I started out with Hobby Lobby on supplies, and I bought some of these needles, and I think they come like 5 in a package. And as I progressed and I started breaking my needles, this is what they look like at Hobby Lobby. They're called Artiste, Artiste, felting needle refills. And the wool at Hobby Lobby is also the same brand, but it's not pretty like this, but it is doable, and it's great to start out with and inexpensive. Okay, the wool that they have is a different um, quality at the store. It's a different quality than, and I was looking to see if I had one, but I don't see I have I know I've got. And here's something else you can buy. They will have a little piece of foam that you can also buy. If you don't have any foam rubber at home in your garage somewhere left over, you can find, if you just look around at your secondhand stores and your yard sales and your flea markets, you might be able to find an old cushion, or you might even, down here people put their furniture by the curb in Florida. And I mean, you go by on trash day, and you can pick up furniture on the side of the road. And so sometimes you might find a cushion. I think this came from an old cushion from an old couch that we had from when we moved. But anyway, you can also go to your upholstery shop, a local upholstery shop, and ask him if he's got any leftover foam. And you just need a little square. You don't need a big, you don't, I like this size because I can put it on the coffee TV tray, and work on it. And it's just a good size for me, and it's easy, and I keep everything in a basket. And so you can get foam rubber. You can also make it out of rice. You can fill it full of rice. And you want kind of you don't want a pillowcase. You want a little bit, um, a bigger a bigger grain of fabric. This is like a piece of upholstery type of fabric, or a curtain, an old curtain type. But you don't want it close. You want a bigger thread, so that when you felt, everything won't stay inside the fabric. And you can test out different fabrics and see what I'm talking about. If you use a silky fabric, you're going to be felting it down, and you're never going to be able to get it back up. And you need a larger, what do I want to call grain? A weave, a larger weave. That's it. So you don't want a high number of threads. You want a lower number of threading on your fabric. And you might find uh, an old shirt, or some clothing, or you can just look around and see what you have to start off with. I mean, if you have to, use a washcloth if you have to, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Burlap is good. You can also probably buy a piece of burlap. And but anyway, um, here are some other tools that I bought, and I guess I could use them. I don't know why I don't use these guys. These are finger protectors. So the one is bigger, the thumb is bigger than the other fingers. So when you hold your work and you're working, you're not hurting yourself. But I will tell you that if you are a heavy pusher, if you push all the way down, you can push through these finger cots. Just saying. Just saying. You can take an old glove, a leather glove. If you have a garden glove that's not too dirty or anything, you could cut the fingers off of a leather gloves, and use them for your finger protectors. So, am I making any headway since helping? Hopefully, I'm helping. But you can buy these at Hobby Lobby. You can buy these at Hobby Lobby. You can buy the little foam squares, and they have um, a few items there to choose from for starting out. Now, when I decided, these were $6 for 5 needles, and I got online and went to eBay, and I found these for like $1 each, around $1, maybe $1.99. So so I I went to eBay and I bought me a bunch of these, um, because I was felting so much, I was breaking them more often. So as you advance, you can learn to buy your supplies elsewhere. And I will give a big shout out to this people. This is where I buy my pretty yarn. It's Bill and Louise Lane at Mohair and More. But if you've never done this, I recommend you go to Hobby Lobby and spend $20 worth of supplies and start off with it there. And then you're going to get your technique, and you're going to see if you really like it or not, and then you're going to start watching videos on it, and then you're going to catch a fever. Okay? Then you can go to Mohair and More and order, and they have an online ordering. And if you have trouble, I'm trying to get it to focus. If you have trouble ordering, you'll get this little Louise on the phone, and she'll just take care of you right away. And she'll put your order together right then and there and send it out to you the next day. She's so sweet. She's sweet as pie, I'm telling you. And she's got this little southern accent. It's even more accent than mine. And and because they've been so nice to me, I've just I give them all my business, and they're reasonable. Okay. But I have this taped up here on my up here all the time, so I won't ever lose it. If I ever want to order from her. So, let me see what else I can try to teach you. I'm going to continue to work on our ducky. Let's do that. I put my but and then I'm going to do this duck today, and I am going to do a table runner for you in the future on my to-do list. Wow, Janet. I'm Janet, you are good. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I'm going to I've got to do something for Janet, girls. Don't you think she is just like on top of our room? I think I think maybe Janet ought to get a mermaid book, journal book. Would Janet like a mermaid journal? Does Janet like a journal? Janet needs Janet needs a gift. I'm going to make Janet something. I can make her some of these. Anyway, you can buy online and you can, but I highly recommend you go to okay, she likes mermaids. I like I said, you can go to eBay too, and you can try to find cheaper places for your wool, and they're usually sold by the ounce or the pound or something like that. And you have to watch who different places they switch the numbers around on you, and they make you think you're getting something and you're not. So you got to really watch. I had to do my research. Um, but you can embellish these things with buttons and sequins, and like this is just a little flower that I did. I did pink on one side and burgundy on the back side, and I put a hanger on it, just sewed, and then I sewed the pearls on there and the little beads. That's all done by hand, with the thread. So Janet, what did you retract? You retracted your yoo-hoo? Woo hoo, woo woo. What did you retract? So anyway, you could do lots of things, hand building. This was a Christmas stocking. I did a bunch of these, and they were so cute on the tree, all over the tree. I've done hearts. I got a heart cookie cutter. I got the seahorse, and we'll do that one next. We're going to make a seahorse for Lisa's journal. And of course, a cross. And this is done with a star. And you can practice on um, how much to felt. You can see how flimsy, thin. It's not really flimsy, but it's thin and pliable. Or you can do it real thick and hard, and you would require more wool to do this one because it's so much thicker and dense. And I just kept adding it to it just to see, what it would look like. And then I went around the edges and kind of did a border with my needle. And you see how it kind of framed it a little bit by poking it real hard around the edges. Kept going around and around and around in circles. And then I took it and I not only did it this way, I did it this way and got it hard so that it's not flimsy. And you just keep poking on it. I mean, you can poke and poke and poke forever. And I will tell you, um, I think of Robin Hood in Sherwood Forest. They wore a lot of felt, and it was waterproof. Water will run off of this wool because it's so dense. It will get wet, but it will also, if you were in the primitive times, you would you would do this with a raw wool of a sheep, and sheep has a natural oil to it. The wool, the animal fur has a natural oily. It's like greasy hair. You know, we wash our hair and wash the grease out of our hair. The animals don't, and that's why underneath, next to their skin, is dry, and all the water runs off. Thanks, Janet. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. I do love crafts. I don't know, I'm just interested in it. And I enjoy the detailing of the history that goes with it. And I think about, I guess that's just what I think about. Mary Altier, she goes she goes really interested in her doodling and looking for artwork with that history doodles on, with history writings, and she gets into it too. If you ever watch her go to the Smithsonian Museum and look for things, and she finds old fabrics from Chinese fabrics and finds these emblems, and she blows them up and looks at the doodles and the sketching of it, and then she puts it down on paper. It's the same passion that I have for crafts, and especially with um, the ancient crafts. And this is an ancient craft. It was done 1600s and before. This was before textiles. This was done before material, before fabric, before cotton, before flax. This was done first, way before Jesus' days, way before primitive. This is primitive textile. And that's what amazes me. Man roamed the earth, you know, and we think caveman days, and I don't, how far back does that go? I don't know. But we're talking Adam and Eve here. What did they use for fabric? What did they use for material? They didn't know how to weave. They didn't know how to make yarn. They didn't know how to do anything that of that yet. This is what you do. This is what happens first. They had a piece of a big long thorn, off of a big thorny bush, and they said, goofing off around the campfire one night, and she says, "Look what I can do with this. Look what that." Or they took the wool or the fur or whatever they had, and they washed it, and they learned how to wet felt. That was probably first. Wet felting was probably first, because they were washing their things out because they were smelly, right? Think about it. Now I'm just talking. I didn't read any of that. That just is common sense. But if you think about it, and you see, you can felt this with friction instead of the needle poking it back and forth. Felting with a needle, you can felt with your hands by rubbing it back and forth, and the fibers interlocking with each other. And the water felting is quicker than the hand felting. And I know you've seen some of the products that they make. Have you seen the cat houses made out of felt? The little cat caves. You can buy them. Hey, Gilly. So anyway, I'm going to continue. I was telling you about some of the prod arts, and like I said, Hobby Lobby does carry them. I don't know if any of the other stores do. This is just where I got mine, and I got this brand. And but that's all you need to start out with. And I'm going to run into the living room to get my tool. I have a tool that holds this needle, and I want to show that to you real quick. Let me run and get it. here's what I found. I found it. This this tool, you can buy these online, and of course I think I got this one at Hobby Lobby, and it holds 3 needles. And it screws off, and I can't get it off right now, but it screws off, and these go in there like a little key, and they interlocked, and they kind of go in a circle. And you can buy these on eBay too, and there you can find nice ones that are wooden ones. There's a nice one that has a plastic um, slide. The needles are in this straw-like plastic that go around the needles, and then when you push down, it pushes up, and the needles go into your cushion, into your foam, and it protects your fingers. And it's real. It would be real nice to have. I just this was more inexpensive, and I bought the cheapest one they had, and that's just what I've stuck with, and I haven't bought any more tools. Um, if I were to, I guess if Joe wants, buy me something for Christmas, he could, I could show him what I want. But I'm just real frugal. I just try to use what I have, and a lot of times I just use the single one when I'm doing an ornament. Uh, I can do this, and I don't mind doing it, taking my time and doing it. I'm not in any hurry. But if you were to use the three needles, you could get it done twice, thrice as fast. You get it done because you got 3 needles, and and it and you'll see if you watch some of the videos. Go, do a search on felting, and you'll see lots of other girls doing it, and you'll see them use. There's one with 5, and I think there might be one with 10, and but they make larger items and things, and they probably sell their things. And there's this one girl that I watch all the time, and she has her own shop where she sells the needles, the yarn, the wool. She does commission work, and she makes it's her living, whereas this is my craft. It's just a craft for me. And but I enjoy watching her because she does videos, and she sells kits where she'll send you everything you need uh, to make a rabbit or a squirrel or an animal. She says these kits, and she'll sell you everything you need to make the thing. And um, uh, it's like a sewing kit. It's a felting kit. And you'll find other stuff on the internet as well. And some of these girls really uh, they're just different, different people to do it. So and you can take your needles and use them to arrange a little bit, but you can't pull too hard with your needles or you will break them. Like I'm trying to comb out this blue, but you have to be careful and know your own strength with with your equipment. You'll know when you get to be too rough with it, or you're too picking too hard, and you'll reach a point of breakage, and you will test yourself one time, and then you're going to go, aha. um, well, I that's a good question, Gilly. I I don't use any glue on my felt. Um, I would, if I did, it probably would be something like a tacky glue, maybe because it's thicker. Um, uh, if you used a clear glue, of course this usually dries I guess it dries a milky clear. It's not real clear, but it depends on what you were going to glue on. If I was going to put anything on this, I would sew it on like a bead. These here, these are sewn on by hand with a little piece of pink thread. And you could even find the the clear threads, the plastic threads, like if you wanted, you know. But I matched my thread up to where you can't even see it, and that's all I used was a piece of pink. It was a pink sewing thread and needle to put these on. So these are little pearls and little beads out of my bead box, and a bigger bead for the middle. Um, Here's another one example. These are just seed beads and little pearl beads. And here's the thread. I used the same thread for the beads as I did to hang it up. It's just a double. It's just two pieces of thread together to make a loop. And this here is nothing but the wool, and I put yellow on the back and left the edges green, and did yellow and made the edges. I was creative with my needlework, okay? But this was a cookie cutter. And you could use glue, but I'd probably start out with maybe a tacky glue, Elmer's glue, because whatever you're going to glue on it is going to be light. Mindy's here. Hi, Mindy. Oh, that's Mitzi. Mitzi's Mindy. I know that now. So, okay. So, what else can I show you? I'm still working on this. I did a little owl, but this is all done with the wool. Everything's done with wool. There's his wings, and there's his little face. And I could very easily put another little black dot in the middle of the white on the eyes and do a layer. My problem is I make things and then I give them away and I forget how I made them. I made a little snowman. His carrot, the carrot was hard, hard to make, and his arms. But you could use, you might find a plastic bead, an orange bead for the nose, and you might find some real twigs to use for the arms. But I did it all out of felt. And then there's the holly. And the holly is done with two shades of green. There's a lime green and a blue green felted together to make. And you can felt something together and take the scissors and trim it as well, because that's how you really make felt. That's how you make felt. Let me show you this. This is a piece of felt, store-bought felt. Okay, they're what, 25 cents a piece for 12 by 12 piece of felt. You can take this felt apart and it would be just like this. It would just be just like this. And the way they do this, you could go to YouTube, how it's made, and see how they make felt. And they put it through the machines, and there's probably lots of needles and different things that they do. a lot of times if I'm working on an ornament, I would take a clean piece of white felt and I'd felt the corners down like this. And then I can work my ornament on here without getting other fibers. As you leave behind some fibers. So I had at one time I had a white area, a blue area, a red area, and a green area, so that the fibers wouldn't get on my white when I worked on Snow White stuff. And it was just something I picked up as I go. Hi, Pat. So anyway, I'm going to go back over here. There's lots of things to, that you can learn about it, and lots of things that you can make. Um, different, just different stuff. Just different stuff that you pick up along the way, and you start watching videos and seeing other things that other people make, and then the next thing you know, you're making it, and that's how it all starts, And if you like doing this, I would recommend you go to Hobby Lobby and spend the money on the primary items that you need, and start watching the videos, and then you can start adding to your collection as you need, and you can start going to secondhand stores looking for wool, and or you can go straight to the company and get your pretty wool. and and you can start out with just primary collars and make your other collars from there. And I ordered from this Mohair and More. I would order, like the primary collars, and then the second time I would order the shades of the primary order, collars, and that's how I got my stock built up. Every time I ordered, I would order a different shade of green, and that's how I got 3 or 4 different colors of greens. So and I just slowly built my collection, and then there's certain colors that you use more of, like a Christmas red and green, of course, and I found that I discovered that there was a batting that you can buy for the insides of your animals. You would use that cheap batting material because it was so much cheaper. And then I showed that earlier on one of my horses. You would use the batting as a stuffing because it was only $1, for an ounce, where this might be the black and the pretty might be $2 an ounce. So you learn to buy the cheaper stuff to use for your stuffings and your fillers, and then when you're finishing up, where's my other horse? There he is. Then you would finish this horse by putting a layer of the pretty stuff on the outside, the prettier wool, which was more expensive. So that's how I started out to be frugal. And it just depends on how far you wanted to take it. I found that I was uh, and I was just a little bit, I was trying to do more advanced things and do more things, and I would just pull up a horse picture on my iPad and freeze it, and then I'd sit there and try to concave the muscles and the legs and the collars, and you can build up the breast of the horse. You can try to match that muscle with the picture, and it was just, an eye eyeballing it. I have Chanel wiring. I use wire. Um, this has got 3 pieces of wire. The legs is wrapped and twisted around the center for the front and the back, and the from the nose all the way down to the tail is a wire, one wire. This is one wire, and this is one wire. And I just use Chanel wire. You can't see them. You know it's collared wire. Uh, this is the wire I use. And by the time you cover it, but you make your frame. Uh, you just make a frame, and for example, this is going to be the head, and then of the horse, and then this is going to be the tail of the horse to the tail. And so you would take another wire, and you would wrap it around 2 or 3 times here, and you would make like the shoulders of the horse. So there would be like a square for the shoulder, broad, the broadness of the horse, and down to the hoof. And then I like to take my hoofs and make a ball, because this is pointy, it's sharp, and I roll it up for the hoof. That's what I do, so that the pointy doesn't come out the bottom and poke you. But it's right in there somewhere. You can sort of see how long it is, and of course I tried to size it up, and you can cut your wire to size, whatever you need. And say this side is too long, well, you just roll it up an extra roll and then even it up. No big deal, because it's going to be covered. That'll end up being covered as a hoof. So that would be the front legs. So I would take this inexpensive batting and start wrapping it around the body and creating the body. And I learned how to do that on a video from Sophia's. It's Sophia. I'll think of it in a minute. Let me see if I can't find her name for you. I'm a Facebook fan of her too. So, but there's several videos that you can find. Yeah. So, you start out with a wire base, and then you would wrap it with a batting, an expensive wool, and you would needle it on, felt it on, and then when you get it built up to where you like it, then you can start layering on the pretty wool that I keep talking about, the finishing wool. I bet Janet could find it for me. It's Sophia. I'm thinking Sophia Fine Art Wool or something. Sophia. I can't find it on my. I can't seem to find it. I'll have to find it later. But it's probably. Let me search for felting on my Facebook. But she is a very good felter, and she does. I learned how to do wet felting from her, and she does a lot of forced animals, and she's really good. She can do a fox and a rabbit, and she has her studio. She has her home a studio in her home. And one time she was doing a video and she was sitting in her living room. She has a full size giraffe in her living room. It was really cool. I don't think I'd want a giraffe that big in my living room, but she did it. She did it all by felting by hand, and it was pretty cool. Yeah. But I'm not finding. Here it is. Here it is. I found it. This is her. I think this is her. It's a good site, and it's on my Facebook. See that donkey? That's felted. And watch this. Look at some of the animals that she does. Very realistic. And then she's got a video on here that you can watch her do it. Look at that. So that's one site I would recommend you checking into. But you could go on down. Oh, this one is really, really so cool. It's a picture of a cat in a picture frame, and it's coming out of the picture frame. And I think she'll do commissions on your animal. If you have a picture of your animal and give it to her, I think she would do it for commission. She's good. But she takes you from the very beginning of the wiring all the way through the projects, down to the talons, the feet, the heads, the eyes, the details. There's Janet to my rescue. Here's a very good close up. Focus. Don't want to focus very good, but it's excellent. Top drawer. This is top drawer felting. But you can see her. She just loves animals. She does a lot of forestry. This is her Facebook page. And here she is doing it. And see, she's got different needles, different sizes of needles there on her side. She she uses those different sizes to her advantage when she's making something. And it looks like she's got some kind of a rabbit or friendly creature there on the table. But she's doing it real easy and simple, and she's enjoying it. And here's another example of a needle that has like 5 different needles in one tool, and you can go real fast with twice as 5 times faster than just one needle. But that's just but you have to watch your fingers. And you can see she's doing the other end, and she's not watching TV. I've watched TV and poked my fingers too many times. So, but there's lots. Look at the muscles on this lion. That's what I love. Look at the muscles. It's not just the hair, but it's beautiful. But you can see the muscles in his hips and his waist and the tail. It just looks so good. I don't know that I've ever seen an albino lion. Have you ever seen an albino? An albino lion before? He's magnificent. I know. And look at her little chickadee. He looks real. Let me get it to focus. They look real. So anyway, that's just a few, just a few. There's tons and tons on here when you get on Facebook. And there's tons and tons. And see, this is how I got inspired with the horse. And I have a ways to go for, um, for the face. I have a little ways to go, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I have a ways to go. Of course, I had some that were really, really better than this, and and they got adopted really fast. So, um, I have done better. These were just the leftover guys. Oh, hey, you got to have fun. You got to have a little fun. But yeah, so you know, if you feel like you want to get some finger cots, I got them and tried them, and but I think a glove would be good. A leather, a good old fashioned leather glove. That, of course, I don't think I have any gloves down here anymore. I had them at home, but I don't have any more gloves. I think I got rid of all of them. Too late. They're gone. Uh, but anyway, let's go back to our little bird and see what we can do. And you could, if you wanted to do more accents and put real feathers on it or something like that, you could do that. Uh, but the sky's the limit. And I will tell you that I'm expecting, Abby's expecting her friends. Abby's having a sleepover. So her friends are coming here probably in the next half hour. And the doorbell will ring and I got to go get the pups. And just to let you know. Well, Let's just say I slept till noon today. Uh, well, it's not just the snores. It's when Abby jumps off the bed, I immediately I'm alert. I'm on alert. I'm on mother alert. It's like, okay, what is my baby doing on the floor, and what is she planning on doing on the floor? So I always get up to let her out because I don't because she won't bark to go out. And I was a such a newbie mother. I didn't teach her how to ring a bell or do anything like that. So, and I didn't teach her to go through a doggy door. So she will not go through a doggy door. So we don't have one. So when she jumps on the floor, I get up like a good mama should, and I let her out. Same thing with the cat. The cat the cat doesn't meow very loudly. She has such a soft voice, and I don't know why. She's never had a loud meow. And I got this. I got the cats. I got two of them when they were before they were winged. Let's put it that way. The people that had them couldn't keep them anymore because they had to move after we had a hurricane, and their trailer was damaged, and they couldn't take the cats with them. So they were hurricane kittens, and they were like 3 or 4 weeks old when I got them. So I don't know if it was because I had winged them suddenly or what, but the cat has never meowed. So she does, but it's real soft and quiet, and it's not a big meow. And so when she meows at me at night, she'll take and put her little paw. She'll touch me with her paw. She touches me to get my attention. It's like, Mom, I want to go out. So I usually get up at 6 o'clock and let her out because I don't have a kitty box in the house, and I have a big sandbox out back, the whole yard. We live in Florida, so I don't have a kitty box in the house. So I always let her out when she wants out because I don't want her to potty in the house. So we all have a little dysfunction, right? That's what I told. Who was it? I told that to my girlfriend today. I said, we all have a little dysfunction in our family. So I slept real good, yeah. And sometimes Joe will get up and he'll take a shower. Of course, we have a master bathroom, and so he goes in there and takes a shower, and I hear the fan, and then I hear the water go off, and then there's always an elbow in the door that makes you jump 3 feet. So anyway, and he is so nice. Joe is so sweet. He'll go and make coffee. And of course, I can hear him rinse the coffee pot out and bang the the the, the coffee grounds into the garbage can. I can hear that. And so he'll start the coffee, and then he'll bring me a cup of coffee, and he puts it by my bed on my bedstand, and it's like he's trying to be so quiet, but I hear everything he does. And I don't know if it's because I'm a light sleeper or what. It's just life. Just life. It's all good. It's all good. So anyway, here's our little bird, and I think it's time to put an eye in. And you can use anything that's real dark. And I'll take and use my single one. Yeah, he is. He's good. He is so good to me. He spoils me. So you see how I'm kind of twirling the end of the fibers up and poking them, kind of twirl it a little bit, and you can poke them back in the same hole with the single needle, and you'll figure it out. If any of you, who's gonna start this? Who have I enabled? Who was the one that was asking me all of the questions? Now see, I poked it real hard and it came out the back side. See? So now I'm going to go to the other side and poke it in a little bit more on this side. Oh, Elsie's already got her things. Okay. So what are you making? What are you felting? Isn't it fun to do things together, Elsie? A frog. Are you doing it like a cookie cutter, or are you doing a 3D? You'd be surprised how I love to multitask, Ellie. That's how I get things done, by multitasking. I would I didn't have this planned for the day. A cookie cutter. Okay. Okay. I have those big bags that your comforters come in and they have zippers on them. I have one of those bags full of cookie cutters from a king size comforter. and and I've got the little polymer, the little tiny cookie cutters, and I keep them in the top part where the pillowcases go. Because I like to do um, little things for in my pottery. Oh, good, Becky. The little room is painted. The ceiling is painted. Great. And a little sitting room. Baby steps. Now, is this the cottage that you're going to be moving into? Your permanent, your forever home? Or the cottage you're selling? Yeah, sometimes we have to set our boundaries. Like when I did the felting, that's all I did. I didn't do anything else. The house that you're temporarily staying in. So you're fixing it up a little bit for your sister-in-law. I don't know how Becky does it. I don't, bless her heart, I would be so stressfully wore out just thinking about it all. I know when I moved down here, I had a little difficult time with the stress. So you're well, that might is that kind of like a deal? You can stay in the cottage if you remodel it before you all leave. kind of a trade-off, brother, sister, brother trade-off. Yeah, me too. I get exhausted thinking about it. When I moved down here, uh, the house was move-in ready, and which was good, which was really a lifesaver. But Joe, we downsized from like a 26,000 square foot to a 1,700 square foot. So we downsized over half, and and Joe and I both have a hard time getting rid of things and throwing things away because we've worked so hard for everything. Yeah. And so he wanted to move with the moving van himself. He did not want to hire the moving. He thought he could save money. And in the long run, he did not save any money. No, he did not. Yes, Joe did too. We had a two-car garage and a couple of other areas that was garage related. I had a pottery shop room that was the size of a garage, and I had all my pottery things in it, and oh, it was crazy. But so we moved, and it was until the third moving van, the third one, is when I had my nervous breakdown, and I'll just leave it at that. My body just went on strike, complete breakdown, and I just had to go to bed. But it was just too, it was overwhelming. It was just too overwhelming. But once I got into the house and we started, I had a couch and I had a chair and I had a little table, and we started, putting things, we had a TV set up on a little end table. It was just temporary. We didn't have things in, but we had a few surround. We were camping in the house until we got it all moved in, and we had to put everything in the garage that we have, and it was overflowing. Yeah, yeah. And I didn't have a bed, but we just threw the mattresses on the floor of the bedroom, and I said, put those mattresses down right there, and I said, now leave me, and shut the door, and I just turned the lights out and I slept for so long. And I just had to, just one day at a time, do one little thing. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. And juggling, you're kind of juggling between that and the storage unit, and then have you already got your new forever house picked out yet, or you're still looking? I think you're still looking. So you're trying to sell something, remodel something, stuff in storage, and find a new house. So you've got four things. Yeah, you're still looking. That's what I thought. And but you did sell the land. So yes. And you had a parcel of land that you were trying to liquidate. And he works full time. Bless his heart. So I totally get where you are, Becky. And your art is probably your safe escape, you know. But you still have, closings, and you still have things to do even after you sell it. But at least you got it sold, and as long as the money got transferred, that's all that matters. Get that. There's always something. But Becky, we're here for you, honey. There you go. Yeah. I don't miss it, that's for sure. And you know what? We still have our old house. We haven't sold our old house yet. It's still up there in Kentucky. So, but it's not it's not because we haven't sold it. It's because Joe's not ready to sell it, and and which is fine, which is fine. And I got me some, and I've been moving forward down here because we've been here for 5 years now. And I said to Joe, I said, well, I found me a new bedroom suit, and I've had this old suit since I was 18. So I decided that I deserved a new bedroom suit. Just the dresser part, not the bed, just the two dressers and two end tables. So I said to him that I found a bedroom suit and this is what I want for my birthday. And so reluctantly, he since it was my birthday, he gave in and let me have, and I found it on Let Go. So yes, it is, Brittany. It is so stressful. So my old dresser that I've had since I was 18, and totally paid for over and over and over from the many years that I've used it. I've had it for 40 years. So, it's like, okay, we can get rid of it or donate it or something. And he doesn't want to donate it, he didn't want to give it away. So, first of all, people down here in Florida will not pay a lot of money for furniture because there's so much of it. People that retire and come down here, they can't give it away. You can't give a big buffet away or a big wardrobe away or uh, a TV armoire setup. People don't want all that big stuff down here. You can't you can get it for free. It's almost curb service down here. So nobody's going to buy my old bedroom furniture, and I know it. You can't. I mean, I could donate it to the church, and they can maybe sell it for $100. I mean, more power to the church. They're giving it away basically, and then they'll want somebody from the church to deliver it and move it for 'em. It goes on and on and on. It doesn't stop. So I'm in a pickle about my old furniture and that I want to get out of the garage so I can go do my pottery. it's it's crowding my space. But I don't want to disrespect Joe, and because he is so good to me. I don't want to disrespect him or hurt his feelings or anything. But the furniture's got to go. And then we had a family, and I said, if I want to donate it, would it be okay if I did that? And I wanted his approval because I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But so I don't know where it all comes from. But he has worked hard for everything. He has, and he worked for 35 years, and he earned every penny of it, and he's worked hard for every item that he's had in his home. And so I understand his respect. You lost. So I have to decide what's more important, Joe's happiness or all that furniture in the garage, and I chose Joe. But I'm working on it slowly and tenderly. And I thought, well, maybe this summer we could attack that little issue. Our happiness is more important. And you know what? He did buy me. He did. Oh, you're buffering, Janet. I'm sorry. I'll wait till y'all get back. Are you back yet? Good. I'm glad I've got you, Zoe. I think the buffering is improving, but I think we all going to have a little bit of buffering every now and then. I think we just need to be thankful that we have each other on this YouTube thing, and I think I am blessed. I am blessed to have you guys, you know, and I'm thankful. And that's what I was getting ready to tell you. I guess they'll be back in a second. Um, but Joe's the one who bought me the camera to do this video, to do YouTube. So I'm thankful for Joe too. So we have to overlook the the other little things, right? The things that makes us unhappy. We got to overlook some of that. Anyway, I'm just about done with this guy. You do this, and then you walk away and let it sit for a little while, and then you come back, and then you say, okay, I'd like to do this or that or to it or whatever, and until you get it looking to where you want it looking. But he looks pretty cute. And and you have the choice of how thick you want it to be as well. I got my little bag of yarn. I keep in my drawer down there. Well, Marianne, we're going to have to get on, get on, get on our little chatty lines here and help you fix that thing up. We're going to have to get you hooked up, girl. Um, I watched several videos before I uh, did it, and I talked to several girls, and I got the Longitech camera, which is what most of the girls had, and that's how I. Okay, Janet. Sorry. Marianne was talking about she's got a camera, but it's not hooked up. But uh, of course, Joe, he's the one who hooked it up on the camera, hooked it up here on the paint stick, and my paint stick moves around. I can move it in and out and adjust my camera and and do all kinds of things with it that way. I try not to show my belly. You all don't want to see my belly. But I watched some videos on the camera, and a couple of young kids did like a camera review and talked about what they liked about it and things to watch out for. Then I watched another video on how to get started on YouTube, and I watched a video on your setup. Uh, uh, I don't know if you have someone that can help you. Uh, I have a countertop here, a kitchen cabinet above me, and this is a corner unit from a kitchen. But Joe put it down low so that I can sit at it like a desk. So I have my setup here, and over here to the right, I have another sitting area where I can write, and it's just my countertop. Okay, it's just two places, and then I got drawers in between my sitting places. So I've got my big computer over to the right, and then over here in this spot, I do my crafts in this corner, and I've got all my little drawers and my paint and everything. I've got it fixed up like a system. So I decided I wanted my camera above me over my hands. and Joe fixed it for me with a paint stick that goes in and out, and it swivels out or in, but I can still get into my cupboards up above it. You know, if I want it, because I keep my glue up there. You know, and things I want to reach for, I can keep up there out of the way, and my paper and stuff. Well, I'm glad you came back, Becky. Janet had to refresh too. But anyway, I was talking to Marianne about how to get started on YouTube and how I did it. So, and I don't know anything about your Sony camera, but I'm sure it's fine, and I'm sure it works just like all the rest of them. And I would watch a couple of videos, and sometimes it's not what you type in. You might have to type it in a different way. Oh, your neighbor's daughter stopped in to say her mom got 5 stitches. Oh my, Aunt Beck, is this the neighbor that you think, is this the one that you think that the children should be with her more often? Is this the it was either you or Lisa that said your neighbor uh shouldn't be alone. Oh my heavens. And she hit something to give her 5 stitches. She could have broke her neck. Oh my gosh. Oh, I see. Oh my. Rocks. Well, I hope she's okay. A bad tumble. I know it was a ditch, but I hope it was soft. 81. My mommy turned 88 yesterday. Oh, her dog. Well, you can trip over your animals. I don't know what to say. Goodness. Well, I hope her daughter can keep a close eye on her. Now, I am using, to get back into this, I am using a piece of yarn to hang this ornament up. And it's a synthetic yarn. It's not wool. That means this kind of fiber is not going to felt together in my wool. So I will have to put this down. It'll pull out real easily, is what I'm saying. It won't stick. It won't stay. So in order for this to stick, I'm going to take a little piece of wool and put right over top of where I've got it poked in, started poking it in, so that the wool will be sort of mixed up in the to the ends of the acrylic yarn, and the wool is what's going to hold it down, not the acrylic part. So I'm poking the wool through the yarn so that the yarn won't pull away, and you can use it as a hanger. Does that make sense? And there you have a little bird to hang. And you can decide on some of these ornaments, you have to move your hanging point. Like I had to move it up higher up on the neck. I had a natural tendency to want to put it in the V part, but the bird would have been hanging like, it wouldn't have been hanging straight. The bird would have been hanging like this instead of like this from the weight of the front. So I had to move it up on the back of the neck a little bit higher so that that was my center weight for the bird to hang. And that's just from experience. Yep, she needs one of those medical buttons. Well, I'm glad you were there, Becky, to help her get up and out of the ditch. And everything around her house needs to be flat. You know, she if she's got a ditch, it needs to be she needs to have better parking to where she doesn't have to get it, to walk around that kind of a area. It needs to be more elderly friendly. Wow. She was walking her dog. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I'm glad she's okay, and that's all that it was. And I'm sure she'll be more careful. She didn't mean to do it. I should be getting my company here shortly. So there we go. There's our little birdie. Let's see. What did I do with that other one I had here? Oh, well, let's see now. I've made a royal mess. I'm looking for my seahorse. There it is. Seahorse. So you just sort of start out real slow and Elsie, how's your frog coming along? Elsie's felting with me. Is anybody else working on anything this evening? artsy girl, Marilyn. Okay. What's your 100-day project? A journal tag. Okay. Okay. You know, back in 2016, we did the ICADs, the index card a day. We did those for like a month. It was something in, I can't remember which month it was, but I've got them over here in a book. But we would do a journal, an art index card a day, kind of same thing. But that'll be good, Pat. I'm glad you're working on your little card, journal page, or a journal. You're trying to finish your journal. Artsy girl, something balloons. Must be a party. Yeah, it is very similar. I thought about doing a tag journal. I've seen some other girls do them and put them in a little binder, and but I've got so many other things I want to do right now. I can't think about that. It's on my to-do list. I was going to show. I did jelly printing yesterday, jelly plate, and I could easily do that again. I could do that every day. But I was going to show y'all how I do my coffee tea stains, and but then this come up. Uh, Actually, Lisa, she's the one. She was. I thought she was going to pop in, but she got busy. I wanted her to. I wanted to show her my yarn spindle out of a knitting needle. And thank you, Marianne. And uh, I learned about it on the internet on YouTube, and I think I've made some yarn with it, but I don't know which bag it's in. I've got so many baskets of felting stuff around here. Uh, I don't know what it is, but I did make this yarn from a spinning wheel, and this is called art yarn, and it's a mix match of different kind of fibers spun into a yarn, and there's a variety of things in here, and but it's good to art with. So now that I have it out, I'm going to have to do something with it, and I think it'll be cute on maybe some ACT cards or just little snippets of it, here and there or something. Uh, when the prompts say add an object, I can add this as my object. And there's so many unusual threads about it and textures, and of course this yarn here, this fiber here is the wool, like this wool, only in green. And then you go on down to the next batch, and I got into a different color, and that's what makes it so fun. You can see where I spun this as a yarn, and this is a 2-ply yarn, I think. But I was good at it for a little while. You know, you can see there was some thin spots, like right here is real thin. And then I got a little fatter over here. This is a little bit fatter than this. So you see how my hand at spinning uh, is not consistent yet, because I was just learning how to do it. So I decided that I knew I could make this chunky art yarn. So that's why I saw somebody else do it on the internet. So I decided that's what I was going to do. So that's why I've got all these little different layers of different kind of fibers all through here. And I think it'd be fun to use on an art card. Okay, Becky, we'll see you at Mary's. Call your mommy. So, but anyway, I was waiting on Lisa, but she'll just have to watch the video and listen to me talk about it. So, but uh, but I'm going to keep this out here on my desk, close by, so I can use it. But you can see how it's twisty, how it likes to twist, because I spun it on a spinning wheel, and that's what it does. So, but I returned the spinning wheel gratefully. Gratefully returned the spinning wheel back to my friend, unharmed, of course. And I said, "Well, I don't think I want a spinning wheel at this time, because I think Joe would have bought me one. He is so good about, if I want something, he'll look around for it, and I think he does have his eye out at the secondhand store. But I'm not quite sure if you'd ever come across a spinning wheel at the secondhand store, but you never know. But I don't think I would use it as often as I would other things in my art class, in my art room. Is Elsie still in here working? Or is she gone to dinner? And I'm watching for Mary to come on. If you all see Mary, we'll go to her place and play. And for those of you that just came in, I'm expecting my doorbell to ring, and I have to go answer it because Abby's having a sleepover. I'm going to be pet sitting for 2 more dogs for my friends for a couple days. Okay, I'm working away here. I got to lift up a little bit so I don't felt it down too good. Flip it over. Do it the other side. Stick it down in my cookie cutter. Watch your fingers. The needles are sharp. There's Lisa. Okay. I know you've been busy. Okay. Here it is. Okay. I need to watch a video to do it again. Okay, but this is the spinning knitting needle. It's a wooden knitting needle. It is a particular size 14, but that's just because it's what I had. And the girl that showed the video on this, she carved it uh, a groove from the tip down about 2 inches. It's a continuous groove, and I did it with a paring knife, and that's where your yarn starts. I think you have a string, just a regular piece of twine string to start off with, so that you could twist your your fibers onto. And there was something about the direction of this the spiral, whether it was going this way or this way, had to do with right or left, and I think it had to do with whether it was linen. If it was flax or linen, it's spun the different direction that it is if it's wool. No big deal, but just a little trivia there. But you would get this started, and you'd get it in the groove, and then you would spin this. It would be already attached down here to the twine, and then you would spin this with a flick of the wrist, and it would spin the yarn, spin the wool, and you would let it drop, and then when you picked it up, you would have like 3 feet spun into a 2-ply, and then you would start to wind it on the end of your knitting needle. The ball would start, and you would come back up here and get a little bit of started again, like you're spinning on the regular spinning wheel. You'd get a little bit started, and it would go into the groove again, and you would add it on to the connection. You know how you connect two pieces, and then you would flick this with your wrist, flick it, and it would spin the yarn, and you would get a rhythm going up and down this. You would be spinning the yarn, yes, by hand. You would be spinning the roving wool into yarn, into like a 1-ply, I guess, and then you would take the 1-ply and spin it into 2-ply or something like that. I'm not an expert at it, but that's why I've got this. That's where I had to, I tried my hand at this, and this is how I learned how to make this. And they have these other uh, uh, spinning pendulum things that are hand carved just for spinning, but it's a hand spinning. It's a technique that you do with the spinning of your fingers and your wrist to spin this knitting needle to spin into yarn. Well, I probably said everything wrong because I'm green. I'm a real greenhorn at this. But I got it off of a video, a couple of videos that girls were spinning their own yarn without the spinning wheel. And when I found out that you could do it this way, because I was looking around for a spinning wheel. And since then, I have found a girlfriend that has a spinning wheel, and I borrowed her spinning wheel, and I made this art yarn. And as you well know, drop spindles, yes, yes. And this was another version of the drop spindle that you can make with things that you have around the house. And I learned this off of a YouTube saying if you don't have a drop spindle, then you can make your own with a wooden knitting needle. And I just so happened to have one. So here I go. There I went. It was a rabbit trail. But when I borrowed my girlfriend's spinning wheel, I was trying to make yarn out of the real nice roving wool. And this is already combed in one direction. So it was ready to really, all I had to do was keep tucking it out, and I could start spinning. Yes, exactly. But anyway, I was just a crafter just trying things out, and I made this art yarn and I forgot about it. So now that I have it out, I'm going to start using my art yarn. And I was showing the girls earlier that when I spun the yarn, I have varied from fat to real thin. I was doing real good, and then I'd get fat again. And it's because it was my first time doing it, okay? And I had, I was learning. I was just learning how to do it. So I found a video on this art yarn where you start adding other fibers to your yarn to what you're doing. And I said, oh, I have lots of other fibers. So anyway, this was my first yarn, and it was the art yarn, and I've got a variety of things in it, and I love it. So I'm going to start using it. Okay. Okay, I know you got to go. But I'll talk to you later, Lisa. I know you're busy, but I wanted to show you my art yarn because I'm going to use it on stuff. See you at Mary's later. Okay. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. She literally meant 5 minutes, Betty. It was 5 minutes. She was busy, but that's okay. So my next project is I do want to make a couple of seahorses, and I want to make them as thin as I possibly can so that they'll go into these art journals I'm going to be making. So I love it when it comes off and the backside is real nice and fuzzy and soft. I don't know if you can see the fuzziness on it, but it's like a little plush toy. Here's the back side. Here's where I was poking. And then the other side is fuzzier. Turn it to its side. Maybe you can see it. Where I poked it through. I poked it this direction and it made all these little fuzzies on this side. So now I'm going to poke the fuzzies in. Make it a little flatter. It gives it stability when you poke it back the other direction. And you can see through it a little bit. I can see light through it. But that's okay. I want it as flat as I can so it'll lay in a book. I've got so many things I want to do to these art journals. I don't think they're going to be big enough to do all the things I want to do. So I just have to be careful and because you could get too much in them and then they won't be an art journal. But I have an idea of that I've got some cards, a variety of cards, greeting cards, thanking of you cards, all kinds of cards, not just blank note cards. There's a variety of cards, and I'm going to do 2 journals, and they're going to have lots of pockets in them or tuck spots so that I can put paper, note paper, and cards in all of the little pockets. So it wouldn't necessarily be a journaling book that you would actually write in, but it might be a card book that you could use for to keep your cards in that you want to send out. But since the theme is mermaids, I'm going to keep all of the cards water related, and like lighthouses and beaches and themed with the beach theme. So yeah, I like that. And there will be some mermaids in them, but there will be a little bit of creation in there too. So I'll have some Bible verses in a few of them. I don't know, Janet. I know that Lisa does Bible journaling, and if you don't do anything biblically, you just tell me, and I won't put any in yours. Uh, I'm going to try to personalize Lisa's a little bit in that direction, and but I don't have to do yours that way unless you want it. But I had a couple of oh, I showed them yesterday of things like this, and this is just a quote. Okay, so I can add some biblicals in yours. Okay, this one's not biblically, but it's beautifully done. Its beauty is not in the face; beauty's in the light of the heart. And I'm going to make a copy of this and put one in each of your all's books. And I'm going to put do it in blues since it's going to be a mermaidish book. So I'm going to do a lot of water, a lot of blues, and then I'm going to put real bright yellow and orange in the middle so that you would see the light of the heart. Maybe a touch of red. Yes, and I have another one with the lighthouse. Okay, okay. I've got another page with a lighthouse on it, and in all my stuff that I have over on the table. So I got my card table out, and I'm gonna just have a heyday with it all, and sort things out. First, I got to do is build the book, and I think I'm going to go to the library, and I probably won't go till next week, and find me a couple of books that I could take apart and use for the journals. Because I want the space in the journal. I don't want the book to be wide open, chunky. I don't want it to be too chunky because I want to be able to put cards in there, and maybe you want more cards. You know what I'm saying? So I want the book to be airy inside, with lots of pages and pockets and things, and sturdy enough to hold cards uh, throughout the book. That's what I've thought about doing. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I could change my mind at a moment's notice. So, but anyway, I have my goal is to put a seahorse in each one. So I got to make another seahorse. So I can do that now. And did you see the mermaid paper doll I had yesterday? Okay. Well, I'm going to make you a new mermaid. I'm going to make Lisa a new mermaid to put in your book too. Be a lot of homemade stuff. Yeah, she moves. Oh no, Marianne. And that that'll be another to-do list. I have my Bible. It's over here on the table, but I do Bible journaling, and I actually draw inside my Bible. I have a dedicated Bible for it, and I started doing it several years ago, and I just dedicated my student Bible. It's got a lot of hi Eva. Okay, Eva. Well, you come to the right place. We can teach you how to felt today. But I use a student study application Bible, and it's got the top part is NIV, and the bottom part is study part, and it's worded in a different version way that you can understand it in a teaching way. And so it's large print, and I love my Bible, and so I draw in it. So that's what I do. And they have Bibles that are dedicated with a 2-inch margin where you can, and the paper is thicker, not the onion paper, and it's dedicated for journaling in, and it's one column instead of two columns, so that there's a bigger margin at the side, and the Bibles are a lot thicker, but it's so that you can actually draw in your Bibles. And it's called Bible journaling. There's tons and tons of videos and Facebook pages on it. Tons and tons. And they sell the Bibles specifically for uh, arting in your Bible. And I'm not disrespecting my Bible at all. I've only done one page, one art page, and I got too dark on the paint on the page, and you can't see the writing underneath, and that's just the one page. So I dedicated that I would not distort any of the words from then on. And so I use translucent colors or Inktense pencils. It's like a watercolor. You can draw in them, and then you take a little damp brush uh, to activate the pigment in the ink in the pencils, the Inktense pencils, and it does good. Okay, Janice belongs to a couple of Bible journaling on Facebook groups for inspiration. Yeah, they really are. They really are nice and friendly, and I used to belong to some of them too. Right now, I'm just into crafting, and I like to do devotional journal paging now. And I've been watching Lisa. She does a little devotional on Sundays, and so does Mary Hill. uh, Sue Hill. I know you all know who I'm talking about. I probably said it wrong. Heil, maybe. Yes. And I've been watching her little devotions, and I art along with her. And yes, the prices are a little high. Yeah. Well, I like I said, I had my Bible, and I just use my application study Bible. But you can buy these new other Bibles dedicated to drawing, but it's on a better art paper, and they're printed one column instead of double columns, so that you have that wide margin. So you're really buying a sketchbook with the Bible in it. So I can see where it is expensive. Little can be a little pricey. Yes. Well, see, I've just now tuned in with Sue just this past month, and I've done a couple of her devotions, and I've done a couple of Lisa's, and and then I've done some on my own, and so I'm really just starting to get into it, and I'm getting better at my artwork, but it just takes practice doing it all. And I've done a couple of devotions with my art book, and then I've done them for the women's circles. I'm in a women's circle at church, and we have circle once a month. Okay. Well, I'll do that another day. I'm kind of waiting on my company to come, and I'm waiting on Mary to come in here. I can give you a sneak peek. You want a sneak peek of it? Okay. I don't want to offend anybody either, but it is something that I do on the side, and it's another craft. And I'll let me give you a sneak peek, and then we can maybe plan another day, and I'll plan it with a title so that I don't offend anybody. I don't know really how to go about certain things on YouTube. I don't, because there's so many people and so many variety of people. Uh, I'm just trying to be courteous, if you know what I mean. But I will give you a sneak peek. I have to move your seahorse over out of the way, because this is your seahorse. Okay, Janet wants a little sneak peek of my Bible. So this is, if anybody is offended, I'm not, this is nothing personal, okay, guys? This is just something that I do, and I wanted to share it with Janet because she's asked. So, but I do go to church, and I do read the Bible, and I do believe in Jesus Christ. So it's just my personal preference, and it's not meant for anybody. Uh, I respect you, and you respect me, please. Okay, so please don't be upset because I've seen people do stuff. This is a I was looking for the front page of the book. This is a Life Application Study Bible for starters. It's an NIV version, and it's a large print. And I love the large print. Okay, so it's just something that I do, and I just want to share. And first thing I did to my Bible, it has these tabs, natural tabs, already there, but I found these with one of the girls, and I printed them out, and they're tabs, but my paper is so thin. Uh, it's not a good idea for thin paper to put them on. I thought I would enjoy them, but I do. But they tend to get scrunched in on the paper, so I don't recommend putting tabs on the onion skin. But I had the natural tabs, and I've had this probably how far back? I don't even know. Probably from when Joe and I've been married for 20 years, so I'm I'm gonna say I got it sometime after we got married, and I wanted to do one of those all black with the stars and the universe, and do the white on this, and put in the beginning, and do a black scene on that, but I haven't done it yet. So it's something I'm always working on. A lot of that times I put uh, because this is not a wide margin, I put tip ins in my Bible, and this is a particular piece. Um, I used to do Sunday school, and I used to do VBS, and so I save bulletins, and I save papers that are given out to the kids. And I didn't color this. This was already printed up, and I just glued it to the margin on top here, so that you can still read everything underneath it. Okay, so it's kind of a tip in. I do have a lot of other tip ins with washi tape, and this is a prime example of how washi tape is good. This is an example of what it's supposed to do. You can peel the tape off, and it has done nothing to my paper. There's a little bit of a dark spot from shadowing, but it's still sticky, and I can tape that down without uh, any damage to my words of the Bible. And that was one thing that I started doing with the painting. And so here is one little example. See, stickers work, and tip-ins work. And these are little coloring pages that you can print out on Google Images. Um, and some of them come out with like 6 on a page, and you just cut them out and you put them where they belong in the Bible. And so these are things that I can always go back and do later. And a lot of times I rip them out and give them to, if there's a kid that wants to see my Bible, I'll let them see my Bible. And if I see one of these, I'll give them away and stuff like that. They're nice little gifts. So here's an example of some pencils. These are Inktense pencils, and you can still read through the pencil, so it's translucent enough to read through it, so no words are damaged. And but you do your drawing with your pencil, and then you take a water brush. If you don't know what they look like, it's a pen that has water in it and a brush. And I usually have one at my fingertips, but I don't now. Either that or I'm overlooking it. Probably just overlooking it. But the water brush has a little brush. It's just a little brush, and it has water in the pen part. And you get it started on your finger, and you can feel it's damp. And then after you do your pencil, you just lightly touch it, and the ink from the pencil, it turns into like a watercolor. And then it dries real fast because you don't using that much water, just enough to dampen it. And that's how you get the ink tints to work. And then these up here are just stickers, or they were clippings from a magazine. And see, this was the air and the birds and the creation, the stars and the moon and the flowers and the earth. And then on this side, I had a little piece. I guess where I had did this and it was damp, I laid the tissue down just in case it would bleed. But I also did this in ink tints. This could be watercolor right here, to be exact, because I don't see any pencil markings. Here I see pencil, and this is ink tints pencils. And then I used a damp brush, water brush, to go over top it to activate the ink. And once you activate the ink once, it's permanent, supposedly, with the pencils that I got. And then I have some more stickers and that fit appropriately in with the Bible verse on this page. And when I do, when I do, it's not from the beginning in order. It's I do the front, I do the back, I do the middle. I'm all over the place whenever I do an art page. It's never from the beginning all the way through. It's sporadic. And then here I had a white space, and I didn't cover anything up. I can see everything. And I have some washi tape right there for some reason. And this is probably, well, it's the garden. It's Adam and Eve. So I had this gardening tape that represents the garden, and I put it on the page because it fit. And here we're talking about the snake in the garden and the apple, and that's a sticker, and this is ink tints, and it's regular pencil, and I colored it in with green and then a red tongue. So this is how I do my art journal. It's mixed media. It's all mixed media. And this here is a little bookmark, and it's the size of something that you would put in the margin on those Bible journalings that they sell. But I printed it out and I colored it, and it's done with ink tints pencils, but it's a tip-in. And as you can see, the ink tints does not bleed to the back side. It's not like a magic marker or an alcohol marker. It's water. It'll be damp, but it doesn't bleed. But it's vibrant colors. And this is the Lord called, where are you? And that was in Genesis 3:9. So that is just a couple of things that I've done. And of course, you can see where I highlight and underline. And um, and then on this particular page, uh, it's 2 by 2. There's 2 giraffes, two elephants, 2 owls, and 2 bears. So this is obviously Noah's Ark. So there's 2 alligators over here. So you see, I can look at this artwork, and I can tell you what's on this page real fast. And that's what I like about it. Are you all okay with me? so far? You okay with what I'm doing? So that's one reason why I like it. And here is a little tab that has a rainbow, and obviously this was at the end of the Noah's Ark traveling. The rainbow means that was God's promise, of course. And here it is again in the Bible. Here's the rainbow and another sticker. Well, no, this is not a sticker. This is a piece of paper that I cut out and I colored it and I Mod Podged it. And it is glued in the margin at the very top of the page, but all of the words are still visible. You can still see all the words. And through this rainbow, this was done with Inktense pencils. Through this rainbow, you can read every word underneath the collar. So it did not damage anything in this book. And that was my goal. Okay. I'm just going to do a quick flip through. I might have to go a little faster. I'm waiting on my doorbell to ring, guys. Abby's got company coming. So when the doorbell rings, I got to go answer it. So anyway, I've got lots of tabs and things at the top, and things are marked for reasons. Sometimes I remember what the reasons are, and sometimes I don't. Now here we have waves and parting of the Red Sea. So this is where you can find it real fast in the Bible without having to go to your indexes. So here's the Bible verse that talks about the parting of the Red Seas. It's done in Inktense pencils and shaded and activated with a wet brush, water brush. But again, you can see every single word without any destruction. And the waters were divided. So that's my, and then here's a big 10. So can you guess what that is? So here are the 10 commandments, and I made a tablet and did a little frame around it just for fun. And I put a tab at the top. And these are just pieces of scrapbooking papers, and I just folded them and glued them to the margins so that none of the words are covered up, and then tabbed it in myself. And here it is again. Here's another little, it's Exodus chapter 33, verse 14, and it's a little picture I can color, and I just stuck it in here to be done later. Haven't done it yet. And in here, I've got a heart at the top of the page. So it's something I love. I know the heart goes to this one over here. So it has to do with this Bible verse with the heart offering. It's a love offering to the Lord. So it was a heart, and it's a tip in. It doesn't cover anything out. And this is also a tip in with washi tape. I've got it touched down on both sides, but again, here's a perfect example of what the washi tape is supposed to do. It is not supposed to harm the paper, and it did not. It was stuck down right there, and it did not harm the paper. So that's the kind of washi tape you want to use. It's a true paper tape, washi tape. And we'll skip over to the next one. There might be some more things in here. And again, I don't recommend these tabs, these nice tabs on onion skin paper. But here we are. We're talking about a boat ride, and this was something traveling, and I've got a little bit of yellow here, so it's probably this verse here, and it was, he took a boat ride, and here is another little art thing. It's sailing through discouragement. Don't be discouraged, and This is what this message was about. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. And I've got it highlighted down here. But here's another prime example of just some artwork that I did by hand. And I don't know how I did that. It looks really good to me. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And it's Inktense pencils and the water brush again. And here's another example of a Bible verse that says, do not be afraid. So, and that's just simple ransom note writing, type style. So, and here's one about a judge. We're talking judges here. So I drew a hammer, and what else? Here is one about the cord, a strong cord. Um, and this has to do with Samson, where he snapped the ropes off of his arms as if they were thread. So this is the story of Samson and Delilah. And here's a story about Malachi, and I highlighted Malachi all through this. We had a little girl in Sunday school, and her new baby brother was named Micah. And she wanted to know who Micah was in the Bible because she knew her brother was named after somebody in the Bible. So I did a Sunday school lesson on it for her. And here we go. We're into Ruth. This is one of my favorite places to be. And I put a little travel trailer on here because she said to her mother-in-law, where you go, I will go. And she traveled with her mother-in-law. And here she is in the fields of Boaz's field, and she gleans the wheat. She's gleaming the wheat and trying to get the seeds from the wheat. And then, as you all, I don't know if you all know the story, the romance of Ruth and Boaz, but they were romance. And Boaz loved her so much that he went to the city council, and he knew that she had some cousins that had first rights to Ruth and her family before he did. So he said to the people, he says, you cousins of her, do you want her? She has a lot of debt on her hands. Do you want her? If you don't, I will take her and her debts. And he bartered with or talked to the men at the counselor in the city, and he said, if you all give me permission, I will take her into my family, her and her mother-in-law and her bad debts. And at that time, whenever they made an agreement, a barter, they took their shoe off and gave it to them as a signed, sealed, and delivered message. I give you my shoe, and I make this legal. This deal is legal, and this is Boaz's shoe that he gave for Ruth. Am I corny or what, guys? I love it. Here's a verse that talks about the new moon. So I drew a moon. I'm gonna go faster. Have I lost anybody yet? I got all kinds of notes and things in my Bible. Here is one about joy. Do not grieve, for joy of the Lord is your strength. And I found this. I think this is this was done with the melting powders. I've just had a brain cloud. I just did this I stamped it with the ink, with that special archiver ink, that clear ink, put the powders on it, and then I put the heat gun to it and embossing powders. And then this is done with some gel pens and some other gel pens that I had that had the colored ink in them. But I made sure that I did not destroy any of the words. I can still read all of this through the words. This is risky right here because I did it with the gel pens. That's borderline. Okay, you're all good. I'm waiting for my doorbell to ring. I just know they're going to come any second. This one is the book of Job, and this is another one of those printouts, and I decoupaged it with Mod Podge, and it has a little bit of a stickiness to it, but it comes right off. It doesn't stick for permanently. It's like plastic. So I've got it taped in the margin, but the words are okay. And then I also did some Inktense pencils, and all this with Inktense pencils. And again, I can read everything underneath it. And here we got a page. Let's see, what do we got? We've got something with all these butterflies and flowers. So it's Psalms, and my God turns my darkness into light, and that has to do with the butterfly coming out of the cocoon, and it's in the Bible several times, come out of the darkness and be free. And there's a lot of butterfly symbols, and here's one. Here's another one about an owl, and it talks about because my hope is in you, and it has to do with hope. And I've got some hope stickers right here, hope and love on the tab. Your steadfast love is before my eyes, and I walk in faithfulness to you. And it's a Psalms again. And again, my tabs are ripping. Um, but again, I'm pretty rough with my Bible too. So here's one about singing. And singing has a lot of musical notes. And I have some happy balloons from a birthday napkin. And I glued them down around the words, but not over the words. These foam stickers are kid stickers, and they're real thin. They're the real thin ones. And so they go perfectly in the book without covering anything up about singing. And again, still in Psalms. Here is as the deer pants for the streams of water, so my soul pants for you, O Lord, and the deer and the water and the mountains and the sky. And this was all done in Inktense pencils. Got a lot of notes. Okay. And as you can see, I keep stickers in my Bible because you never know when you might need a sticker. So here's Psalms 91. And I've got lots of paper clip flags. They're good to have. And here is one that I haven't done yet, and it's Psalms 9 verse 1, and it's in the wrong place. I've got it on Psalms 91. It should be over in 9. Oopsie, but that's okay. Here is one of Psalms, and this is a palm tree that I sketched in, and I'm not sure. Okay, here's the verse. It says, the righteous will flourish like a palm tree. And I drew a palm tree. and it's done lightly with colored pencils. It's not ink tints, or I would have put the water to it. So you can see how fun Bible journaling can be, and it's just your imagination of what you read and your interpretation, and so forth. And here is another tip in, and this is actually, I think I glued this down because it's not covering any words. And it says, "The Lord is with me, I will not be afraid," and a butterfly and colored pencils. And here is one, I've got my name up here, and it's love. And that's because there's Alpha and then there's Beth, which is the second letter in the Greek alphabet. So I wrote my name in it. It's my name. And then here I've got some eyes, and it's talking about this. There's a verse here: "Open my eyes that I may see wonderful things in your law." Okay, and this is a lesson about preserving, and this was Lisa's lesson a couple of weeks ago, and it had to do with to preserve, to quicken, to make alive, to be fresh, to renew, to be saved, and to be redeemed. And this was a little lesson that I did for the circle in my church for the girls, and it was a nice lesson. You'll have to look Lisa up for that. Here's some extra sticky notes for, whatever you may need a sticky note. There they are. Here's one about counting the stars and calling them all by name. So I did stars, and I think this is like a Zentangle, dangle. And I saw Janice Green was doing some Zentangling one day. This has probably been a couple years ago, and I think that's how I got that idea. If you ever watch her, Janice Young, somebody was Zentangling, so I Zentangled that. Never know. Here is these are shimmery watercolor shimmer paints. This is actually watercolors, and they're translucent. And I did a starburst, and then I had a stencil where I put in praise him, and I had to strategically do it around the words. This is one page that was also iffy, where I kind of covered up some of the words, but most of the page is readable except for right here, and that's it. It's just right here on these two lines, and that was just the theme. So you can still read all of the words of the Bible part, but that's iffy because I don't like to cover the words. But we live and learn, don't we? And here is a trust and a heart, and I got a side tab that says "Hug me, kiss me" for this page. I don't know why I did that, but I put in there those words. And here is one about doors: watching daily at my doors, waiting at my doorway. So I drew a door. Okay. Here is something about being wise in Proverbs. The fear of the Lord is in the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. And I need to color that. Here is another one on wisdom. I did all of this in ink tints. This is an owl about wisdom. And I usually have something underlined, but I think it was the whole chapter, this whole page, because I did the whole page. So all of this needs to be read, and nothing is destroyed. Everything can be read. Everything can be read here. Fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. That is underlined, but I It has to be something wisdom, because that's what I have highlighted, or I've written at the top anyway. So I'm sure there's a wisdom in here somewhere. But since I'm moving on faster, and here's a banner for Jesse, Jesse's banner. The root of Jesse will stand as a banner. Okay, so there's the what that means. The root of Jesse will stand as a banner. And there's also something about the lion and the lamb. The wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat, and the calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. And I put a lion sticker and a lamb sticker there. So, it's mixed media all together. Here is something about flowers. The grass withers and the flowers fall, but the word of God will stand forever. And I had these little felt flowers, and I stuck them on there. I mean, what a better way to show little kids, you know, how to how to make the Bible come to life and interest them. Yeah, I see the gavel, Janet. Thank you. I said hammer. It was a gavel. That was at the beginning. And then here is we were talking about so good and an apple, and it says here, recognizes one truly sent by the Lord. If his predictions come true, then the prophet Hananiah took a yoke off of the neck of the prophet Jeremiah and broke it. I don't know. This is something about something being good. And I've done a Bible verse in my regular art journal about the yoke. I've done that before. It's over there on the shelf. Now here we're talking about Advent, and here we are in Jeremiah. And I did an art page on this, and I showed it. I don't know if earlier this week I showed it, and it was my favorite song. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. That's one of my favorite verses. And here is the word obey, and I have a tab up here to highlight, and I've got the word highlighted for something about obey. So, as you can see, I've gone through the Bible a few times, and I read it as a teenager all the way through, and I'm sure I've read it almost through as an adult a couple times. Here is the whale and the belly of the whale, and it's done in Mod Podged, and it's kind of stuck together to the page, but it's not ripping. As you can see, it's just stuck there, and I'm not going to take the time to do it right now, but it will come off. And of course, here is when Jesus was born, and I did the cradle, and I've got King of Kings and the Three Kings, Christmas time. And here I did the thing with Satan, get behind me, famous verse. And here we got, now this is the one that I did bad on. I was doing an angel, and I put some paint down, and after I did, I realized I can't see the writings. And this is the one time that I really, really regret covering the words up. But we learn by our mistakes, and I have other Bibles. It's not like I can't get to this information, but this was a little lesson that I did, and it was blessed assurance, For he will give his angels charge concerning you to guard you in all your ways. And there's an angel in um, kind of a starburst mist of a angel. And it was just some creative art that I was learning to do. And I do this, but I do it in other books, not a Bible book. So I felt really guilty about this, but I use it as a good example. So that if you want to draw in your Bible, don't do this. Put it on another piece of paper and tip it in if you want, because I loved the verse, and I loved the meaning of the story behind blessed assurance and everything. I love all that, but I didn't like covering the words up. I don't know. I just had a funny feeling about it. So that's okay. We learn. And here's one about love and the Lord's Prayer. And I've got some prayer hands here. And again, it's a tip in. It's glued in on the white part, but not on the words. So there's a good quick way to find the Lord's Prayer for the kids. That was easy. That was good to do, because I showed my Bible to the kids. And it's not for everybody. The elders in my church kind of raise their eyebrows at me. So, I know it's not for everybody, and that's why I don't want to push it. I don't pressure this. So here's some more things I need to call her. And some more things. And here's a letter from God that I did as a devotion for Circle. And here we got heart and soul. And this is a Bible verse about heart and soul. And a little tip in. Most everything that I have drawn in and done in, I think I have tabs for everything. Most of them have tabs, so you've seen the big ones already. But I do a lot of hearts. Here's the second Advent for peace. Another heart, and this is just a tip in. And I love this one. This is just a sticker, but I love this one. And this is about being born again. And I found this dog who was just got out of the bathtub with a towel. So you're born of water and of the Spirit, and it just fit. And I thought, well, what would be more sweeter to a kid to see this, and try to explain how to be born again. I just loved it. I guess I'm a big kid. Big kid. And here's just some more stickers about believing. Here's the staff. This is about the man who enters the gate is the shepherd of the sheep, and the watchman opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out, and it's the good shepherd. And about how to be a good shepherd in your life. And there is the biggest sentence in the whole world about Jesus wept, and that was the shortest sentence in the Bible. Jesus wept, right there. I'll underline it again. So I have it marked because it's always something we talk about. And this is a devotion I did. I did this on a video way before YouTube, and I need to do it again for you guys. But I'll have to put that on my to-do list. It's a devotion that I did, and it's about washing your hair and carrying your oil because your Lord is near. And I want to do a devotion for all of y'all with that someday. It's really cool. And this is something about the Holy Spirit. And here's the vine and a little tip in. And then here's another one about Jesus. And I've got a tab. And it's the last part of John. And it's feed and take care of my sheep. A lot of other little things that I have underlined. And here's I believe. And another tip in that I need to collar. See, there's always work to be done in your Bible. And this is the one about the prayer cloth. And it tells you about how to where you find it in the Bible. And it's in Acts, and it's aprons too, about having a white apron on and a prayer cloth. That's pretty neat. And I know I'm missing over a few things, but I can't help it. And this is just a tip in. Again, this is Mod Podged, and it's not destroying any of the words at all. This has been Mod Podged, and it's the Bible verse in Romans right there. And here's one about love, and I put a love sticker there. And again, the Mod Podge does not destroy the book at all. The stickers, I think it's on the other page. I had torn this before for something else, but it's about being good. And another tip-ins, and these tip-ins will raise up. But again, this is the onion skin paper that we have to. It's not the best to draw in. You need to get one of those journal pages. So, and then here I got a little envelope here, and I had something in it at one time, but I don't know what. And here is a picture, and it was about a woman's long hair and her glory. And then we're getting into the Lord's Supper and the one body. We got those tabbed out. And here's the one about the body of Christ. I got some tip-ins. And here's one about growing. And it's Inktense pencils and the water pen again. And here's a tab on giving and the bread. And I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me in Philippians, popular verse. And here's a house, and it's probably the house, the lighthouse, the word of life, and the walking in the light. And I'm looking for this one that I love. I can't find it yet. I haven't found it yet. I'm hoping I still haven't passed it up. But it's about, there's a few more back here. Maybe I'll find it. Maybe it'll be in here. But there's another page that I love. Real good. This is the tip in. And another heart. Action love. We love because he first loved us. And I got a lot of little hearts with some Bible verses on them. And obviously I had a cough drop one day. And there it is. The paper. that was extra. And here we are about the candles and the altar. This is in Revelation. The 7 golden lampstands and the visions in Revelation. And here is the tree of life. This is all done in Inktense, and you can see and read every single word. This is one of my favorite pages. Here it is. See the little kitty cat? It's the white kitty cat. Pure white. White as stone. There's the tab for it. And it says, I will also give him a white stone with a new name. So there's the white cat for that. I just thought it was appropriate because it was a little white kitty. That's just me. Silly me. So anyway, we're at the end of Revelations here. So that's probably, and here's one about the Christ invites us to the door, to the response, knock and it shall be opened. So there's the door in the garden. And I think that's the last tab. So here's a lot of Bible verses I like. I write down in the back. So that's it. Okay. Ta-da! I still got 12 of y'all in here, so so anyway, it's just something that I do. And if you have a favorite book that you like to read, if it's poems or just a novel, your favorite novel, you could turn it into something beautiful too. Whatever. A lot of girls do this bullet journaling, and they do it like every year. They go and they buy these elaborate calendar books and stuff, and they take and they decorate it the way they want it to be looking. And each month they have this list of challenges and things they want to do, and they roll it over to the next month if they don't finish it. And they do these elaborate it's called bullet journaling, and they make the book their own. Well, you could do that too, to whatever book or journal that you're in, whether it's a book, a Bible, or an art journal, and make it your own. And that's the main thing is learn how to be creative with the things that you love and the things that you want to do. And it's the same thing with any of the arts that we do. If you have a passion for it, learn more about it and discover the history of it a little bit, and then share it with others. And it makes it more fun to do. It just makes it more meaningful. So anyway, it's 8 o'clock, and I don't know where Mary is, but she will be on soon. So I'm going to jump off and wait for her to come on, and I'll see you all over there in Mary's room, and I'll pick up and chat with you guys. I'll take a break because I'm waiting on Abby's buddies to come over. It's probably Jeremiah. I know the plans I have for you. The song. Remember the song I did in the book last night, Gilly? Yep. I need to fix me a little snack too. I know the plans I have for you, plans to help you prosper and hope for a future, not to harm. That's my verse. A good life, a good plan, good foundation. Yeah. It just moves me, that particular verse. I like I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I love that verse because one time I was trying to hang up some border around the top of the room by myself. And here I was in a bedroom on top of a tall dresser trying to hang this wallpaper. And I kept saying that verse. I kept saying that verse. And 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 the next thing I knew, I was hanging the wallpaper, and I got every bit of that border up without it falling down. It was pretty cool. I know it's a funny story, but it's true. It's a true. So well, Marianne's got her desk cleaned up. She's ready for Mary's uh, adventure tonight. I'm sure we'll be doodling something. Janet's going to get dinner. Okay. Do you do you have uh, Jan, Janelle? Do you have Gilly? Do you have Mary's? Do you go to Mary's Altier's live streams too? Do you know who we're talking about when we say Mary? It's Meri. She's funny and cute and talented, all rolled up into one rubber band ball. She's fun to watch. Okay. Well, that's where I'm going to go next. I'm going to get me some fresh coffee and get me a bite to eat, and let the dog out and get the new dogs. They're on their way over. That she just texted me. So I'll see y'all over to Mary's. Oh yes, we got to know what's happened. You know, I don't. I had company last week, and I had to give Bandit back. I don't know what she said. I'll have to go back and listen to it. But we got to find out what's going to happen to Bandit, the cat. Okay, I'll see y'all over there. Bye, guys. Thanks for listening to me. I'll see you at Mary's.